Is this the end for Star? Only time will tell. Come and see what's occurred. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. If you're new here, I'm Elton, a 50-something-year-old undertaking a long-term photography project in my 1996 Hymer. So you can expect to see travel photography and video from historical sites that I visit, landscape and nature photography, wildlife and animal photography from around my travels, and also video tutorials, camera gear reviews, and hints and tips of van life and long-term travel. So please do join me and hit that subscribe button. After a great weekend with my friends, camping for a whole week, camping just outside of Derby, I was making my way up to North Wales, traveling along the M6 at the time. Whilst driving along, the engine just died completely, almost as if I had turned the ignition off. There was no noise, there was no bang, nothing like that to suggest anything serious had happened, but the engine just died. As it happened, I had enough momentum to get myself from the second lane, that there was 4 lanes to this motorway, managed to get myself from the second lane into the first lane and bring myself to a halt. Certainly not ideal, being on an active lane. There was no hold shoulder for me to pull into. Within 5 minutes, I had the traffic police there. One stopped behind me to ensure, close the lane off behind me a bit to ensure safety. He then came to inform me that a colleague would be joining us, and effectively they would be towing Star and myself to the services just up the road. The services was about half a mile up the road from where I had broken down. They did that. They came and towed me into the services. They put me on a rather shitty position, to be honest. It's literally on the access road. As you come off the motorway, there's a kind of a slip road into the services. Where they placed me was on the side of that access road, which basically never stopped having traffic, regardless of the time of day or night. As it turns out, I spent 2 nights on this precarious position at the services, waiting for rescue, basically. So initially, this happened I was delivered to the services at around 2 o'clock on Monday, the 27th of July. Immediately, obviously, called Green Flag, who's my breakdown cover. They sent someone out to have a look at the issue, who arrived about 4 o'clock or so that afternoon. Had a look under the hood and essentially diagnosed the issue as one of the cam belt or timing belt tensioners that had come loose. Looking from the engine bay down towards the cam belt area, you can see a bolt that has come loose, with what looks like a pulley or something on the end of that bolt. So basically, it was a case of, I can't fix it on the side of the road. You're going to have to get recovered. Due to the time of day and being in an area I am totally unfamiliar with, nothing could be done that afternoon. So I basically spent Monday evening putting together a list of garages in the local area that I could then call Tuesday morning. As it happens, one of my friends that I'd been camping with the week previously very kindly offered me a room in his place. However, he's based near Port Talbot in Wales, which is about 130 miles from where I broke down. And what I learned from Green Flag whilst they were there is that my breakdown cover currently only covers me for a recovery of up to 10-mile radius of where I break down. Completely useless, really. I'm not even sure that is what I signed up for, but if that's what's on the policy, then that's fine. But it just seems very odd to me that I would sign, get cover for a 10-mile radius when I know that I travel all over the country. So that's going to be looked at now. Basically, I'm upgrading or going to be changing my breakdown cover. So just worth looking at what your breakdown cover is, and if you do only have a 10-mile radius cover, just consider whether that's going to be good enough for you if you are caught out far, far, far from home. Anyway, Tuesday morning came and I started making calls, and I called not only the local garages in the area, but I also called a few down in Port Talbot and also some down in Gloucester, where I have friends that were also willing to give me a room. I called 20 garages. Of those, roughly around 14 of them said they don't work on engines, full stop. And the remaining few could not see me for or do anything for at least 3 weeks. I was getting to the point now where I was seriously starting to stress out that I might have to spend the rest of my life along this access road on a motorhome services. A motorway services. I then found another one, another garage fairly local to where the incident was, and I gave them a call. They only had one Google review, which is always a bit concerning. However, spoke to the chap, and he was more than willing or more than happy to take on the job. Seemed to know a lot about engines, knew what the problem was. I sent him a picture of the bolt that I could see having come out of the engine or somewhere along the pulley cam belt system. And he was quite confident that it's something that they could help me with. So I then tried to arrange, and the most important part, because this is the other problem when you live in your van, is finding a garage that's not only willing to do the work, but also willing to allow you to stay in the van for the however long it takes them to do the work. So he was happy for me to stay in Star whilst they sorted out the issue. As it happens, he very kindly just popped around to the motorway services, Tuesday afternoon. I arranged with Green Flag to come and rescue me that afternoon. I called him at around 12 o'clock, having now found the garage and somewhere they could actually take me to, which was within the 10-mile radius. They said they would have a recovery vehicle out by 20 past 2. Come 4:30, the vehicle has still not turned up. The garage closes at 5 and has a locked yard, so therefore being rescued after 5 was no good to anyone. So I then had to cancel the Green Flag recovery and request that the recovery happened Wednesday morning instead. So this would now be my second night sleeping along this access road, which I can assure you never stopped having traffic. And there were large lorries, full articulated lorries, driving past my home about 1.5 meters, 2 meters away from the window, constantly throughout the night. There was at no point was there sufficient time for me actually to fall asleep before the next truck came along. And every time I was about to doze off, a truck came speeding by. The whole van rocked because it's a high-sided van, and the air between the two vehicles just shook my whole van. So I never got any sleep. Eventually, a Green Flag did come and recover me Wednesday, so that's the 29th of July, and brought me to the garage. The garage have not yet been able to assess the issue. They obviously have work that they already had in the workshop, and I cannot and did not expect a garage to just be able to drop everything and look at stuff. So I'm not fussed by that. I'm thankful that I found a garage willing to take on the work, and one that's also willing to allow me to stay in Star whilst that work is carried out. You might see behind me and to the side of me, there are buses and stuff. They've actually kind of sectioned me in here so that I have a bit of privacy, if you like, and people coming into the site cannot see the van parked here and me in it. It's so quiet here. It's on an industrial estate right on the edge of town. So there's no through traffic here in the evenings after the businesses are closed. I slept like a little baby last night and woke up at about 11 o'clock this morning, Thursday the 30th, is it? Yes, I believe it is. Um, so yes, so that's where we stand at the moment. Not yet sure what exactly is wrong with her. So as I say, it appears that one of the tensioners have come off the timing belt assembly. Um, initial thoughts from the mechanic, having only been able to see from the engine bay downwards and seeing as much as I've seen, is that it's possible that there might not be any engine damage. Um, or if there is, the hope is that it's confined to the top end of the engine rather than the bottom end. But again, because as I say, they haven't actually been able to have a proper look or drop the engine or take the top of the engine off to have a look at the valves, etc. It is all speculation at this point. So we just don't know. It could be that the engine's completely knackered, and I need to consider a new refurbished engine, or it turns out that there's very little damage to the top end of the engine, and it's just some minor work and fixing the timing belt assembly and resecuring that tensioner that's come out of its mounting effectively. Um, but yeah, I just thought I'd come on and do a video because the whole point of this channel has always been to bring you the realistic side of van life, and that it's not always sunrises over the lakes or the sea and such. Um, I've been really poor at kind of doing these videos and relaying to you the realities of this lifestyle. So I just thought I would come on, let you know what's going on. Um, whether this is the end of Star, I'm not sure, because until I know what the damage is, I just don't know what the thought process is going to be and where we go from here. Um, when I bought the motorhome, when I bought her back in almost 5 years ago now, August, actually, June, July. Yeah, July would have been 5 years since I bought her. This is the first real major issue with her. But even back then, I did get a discount on the asking price, having said to the owner, look, the engine's already done 180,000 miles. It's likely I'm going to have to replace that engine fairly soon. So the fact, she has done now over 200,000 miles. The engine is 30 years old, so I can't really begrudge the fact that the engine's gone. That although it's not the engine, it wasn't the engine that failed. It was the cam belt system or the timing belt system that's failed, possibly causing damage to the engine. But I did get a discount on that initial asking price, factoring in the fact that I might have to purchase a refurbished engine at some point. So theoretically, I have that money aside if I need to get a refurbished engine. I have been reliably told by someone who's very familiar with these Hymers that the 2.8 turbo diesel engine drops into this bay, into the front here, as if it were made to fit. So that is an option. If I do need to replace the engine, I might consider going up to the 2.8 rather than 2.5 that she's currently got. Yeah, so I don't want to go on and just be tedious here. Just wanted to bring you up to speed. This is what's going on at the moment. I have no idea how long it's going to take them to fix the issue, because obviously until they can look at it, which now seems to be Monday is going to be the soonest that they're going to be able to do that. We just don't know. Well, I just don't know what the issue is and how much the cost is going to be and how long the time scales to sort it out. I have a eye photography pop-up event this weekend in Chester, which fortunately is only about a 25-minute ride on the motorbike. So I still have the motorbike, so at least I'm not kind of stranded, as it were. My next one after this weekend is only on the 15th of August. So again, that one is a bit further away. It's about an hour and a half ride on the bike, which again, I'm happy to do, providing there's sufficient attendees at it. But further than that, I just don't know. Once I know what the timescales are for repair on a van, I will then have to make a decision of if I need to cancel any future planned event. But yeah, that's where we stand. So I will create an update once I have further information on the state of the engine and timescales for repairs and all that kind of things. But yeah, until next time, keep well, be safe, and be kind. Cheers.